Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
I bought a 69 Ford pickup truck, 1974. Been driving her over a third of my life, and I reckon I'll drive her some more. I think I'm going to drive her some more. Down through the years, I've insured my truck from collision, fire, and theft. But there ain't no insurance for weird aberrations, like when she wouldn't turn left. That's right, for about, maybe 3 months, she wouldn't turn left. When she wouldn't turn left, I decided to fly in the face of conventional thought. Being lazy like I am, I drove her like she was. Didn't matter if she turned left or not. Hell no. I didn't care if she turned left or not. I drove her anyway. It takes 3 right turns to make 1 left, 6 rights to make a U.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest on last week's episode, radio personality and actress Carrie Tombasian. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in next week to hear my conversation with Grammy-nominated vocalist-composer Phil Perry. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Duesenberg Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, Diodario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, Fishman Acoustic Amps, and Exotic Effects. So often I get asked questions about the creative process. So I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music and art that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My guest this week is acting improv teacher and founder of the Groundlings Theater Company, Gary Austin. Gary Austin, one of the country's premier improvisational acting teachers, is the founder and original director of the Groundlings, Los Angeles' premier character-based improvisational theater company. Gary began his professional career as a performing member of San Francisco's famed improvisational company, The Committee, where he worked with Second City's Del Close. His work has been featured on NPR's Fresh Air, in major trades, and in several books, including Acting Teachers of America by Ronald Rand, The Actor's Guide to Qualified Acting Coaches by Larry Silverberg, and The Funniest One in the Room, The Life and Legends of Del Close by Kim Howard Johnson. Gary's students work throughout the world of entertainment as actors, singers, comedians, writers, directors, and producers. His students include Academy Award winner Helen Hunt, Paul Feig, director of Bridesmaids, Helen Slater, Lisa Kudrow, Paul Reubens, known as Wee Herman, the late Phil Hartman, Academy Award and Emmy nominee Lindsay Crouse, Tony winner Lillias White, Jennifer Grey, the late Pat Morita, who's also an Oscar nominee, Donna Summer, Loretta DeVine, Mark Dacascos, Iron Chef and Hawaii Five-0, Robert David Hall of CSI, and Daphne Zuniga. Gary holds a BA degree in theater from San Francisco State University, and he is the producer and artistic director of Gary Austin Workshops and teaches, directs, and performs in Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. Gary, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Welcome today.
Thank you, Terry.
You're so welcome. We go way back. You were one of the first friends and professional relationships that I developed when I moved to Los Angeles in 1981. So we have a lot of history and a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Lots of all-night recording sessions and lots of shows.
Yeah. Do you remember when we first met? Or how?
I was trying to remember that today, and I don't remember.
It was through my cousin, Glenn Wallman, Dr. Glenn Wallman. He introduced us.
Of course, Dr. Glenn, yes.
But where we met, I don't remember. But I do remember that he said, I've got a really good friend who is an acting teacher, a comedy improv teacher, who writes country songs. And he's looking to record, and he's looking for a producer. And we met and started recording. I mean, we just dug right in.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah.
It was Glenn, yeah.
It was Glenn. You know, and actually, I think even at one part of that, you were living in your truck.
I was living in my truck for 2.5 years after I had created the Groundlings and had, in fact, resigned from the Groundlings.
Right. What a beautiful world we live in, the acting and artist community. But you were incredibly creative at the time, and you still are. I mean, that was one of the things that I remember about you. Both in the studio, you were very open. You were incredibly curious about the recording process. You were playful, focused, and diligent. You know, it was something that you were very excited about doing, and it made it incredibly enjoyable for me to create the opportunity for you to record. Even some of it we were doing in my bedroom, and you'd go into the bathroom. I'd set up a mic, and you'd do your vocals in the bathroom.
We got great sound in the bathroom.
We sure did.
Terry,
yeah,
Terry,
yes.
You taught me so much, and you've encouraged me, inspired me. And if it weren't for you, I don't know if I would have continued on in music.
Wow, that is huge. I really appreciate that. You also taught me a lot because simultaneously you thought it would be important for me as a musician to loosen up a little bit performance-wise, and you urged me and encouraged me and invited me to take your comedy improv classes, and you really opened me up too and taught me a lot of things that I still carry on through this day, the understanding that I have about what it means to perform. You know, a lot of that I learned from you.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you for saying it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It was, you know, one of the things that I remember that you told me is don't give too much information away on the stage. People don't need to know that much about you. Pick one or two things. Just,
yeah.
And,
well, it's about letting the audience, come up with the information. We don't have to explain things to the audience. Usually the audience is very smart. In fact, the way I approach audiences as both director and teacher and performer is the audience is smarter than me. And that's not just something I say, it's absolutely true. And so I can be silent in a moment on stage, and the audience will fill in what I'm thinking or feeling. That makes them smarter than me, because no matter how badly or muchly I want them to think, I want to project to them what I'm thinking or feeling, I don't have that power. That's up to them. And they decide, well, he's thinking this, he's feeling this. Based on the context of the moment, they come up with their own conclusions.
Right. And you're speaking about acting and also performing as a musician as well. It's
both. When I talk about acting or improvising or singing or any performance that happens in front of audiences, I'm always talking about just everything I talk about or deal with or work with applies to that. So it's universal for me.
Right. I'd like to read a quote about you by actor Jennifer Grey. She said, okay. Gary Austin is a master at seeing where you need to work. He creates safe place where you can take chances and dare not to be in control. How important is it for an artist to dare not be in control?
Well, it's all about discovery. To me, all creative endeavor is about discovery, whether you're writing or performing. So if I go into my brain and try to control something, the only thing I will come up with is what I already know. I want to come up with something I don't know. I want to commit to the unknown. I want to make discoveries, and a discovery is we discover things we don't know. We don't discover things we already know.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
isn't
go ahead.
being in control an illusion anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm wondering, I actually think that being in control is an illusion. When you think you're controlling something, you're not really.
Hey, we're never in control. We're never
we're
in control.
In life. Right. We're in life.
Yes. And what happens is it's not about, it's about what we do with what we have. It's about what do we do with the hand we're dealt? So I can't guarantee my emotions, for instance. I can't guarantee feeling happiness or anger or fear because I have no control over what I feel. Emotion is something that happens to me. What I can control is what do I do when I feel an emotion? So if I feel anger, what do I do then? Feeling that emotion, then what do I do? That I can control until I perform whatever action I perform, and then I'm no longer in control once again.
Mm-hmm. Right. I understand. You grew up in the Nazarene Church in Halliburton oil camps in Oklahoma, Texas, and California. How did your childhood? How did your childhood experiences influence you as an actor and musician?
I learned how to act at the ages of, I would say from 2 on, by watching preachers preach and hearing them preach and watching singers in church sing. But mainly watching preachers preach. I didn't know I was learning about acting. I didn't know what acting was. I was a little kid. But I went to church and I heard the preachers and I responded emotionally as I grew up and all through childhood and then through my teen years. I learned what it is to compel an audience, what it is for a preacher, for instance, to compel an audience to watch him or her. And we had both him and her preachers, by the way, when I was growing up. Why did we watch? I didn't actually intellectually think to myself, why am I watching this guy? But I did learn that I had to watch the preacher. I couldn't help it. He compelled me. I'm going to say he. I could say she. I'll say both. He compelled me to watch her, and I had no choice really unless I left the room.
Yeah, they were definitely compelling figures, to say the least. When you were growing up, were you dreaming of being a cowboy, or were you dreaming of becoming an actor and a musician?
I had 3 dreams. One was to play center field for the Boston Red Sox. One was to be an evangelist and hold huge tent meetings like Billy Graham. And the other one was to be a singing cowboy. And I grew up on radio, not television, of course, because I was born in 1941. And so I didn't have television until we moved to California when I was 11 or 12. So I would listen to Gene Autry every weekend on the radio. And I would hear him sing Back in the Saddle Again, his theme song. And I wanted to be like him and like Roy Rogers. I thought that those were occupations. I thought that growing up to be a Roy Rogers or a Gene Autry, those were occupations. It wasn't about growing up to be a singing cowboy. It was about growing up to be, you know what I'm going to be when I grow up? I'm going to be a Gene Autry. And but the one thing, that all 3 of those dreams have in common is they each involve a massive audience. I needed to be in front of people. And I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I knew it. The first time when my father came back from World War II. And I did a poem at the Nazarene Church in Upland, California, in the Christmas show. And I got laughs. And I didn't want to get laughs. I didn't try to get laughs. But I guess they thought I was cute or something. So it was a cute little thing I did, but it wasn't funny. But they laughed, and I liked that they laughed. But I didn't seek the laugh, and I didn't care whether they laughed or not, actually, as long as I could be in front of them and they could be listening to me and watching me. That's what really mattered to me.
Well, how does that lead you to moving into being a comedy actor and comedy teacher instead of just a straight actor?
It's interesting,
Dramatic
Terry.
actor.
I'm not going to shock you because you heard me say this probably, but I have never taught comedy. I have never directed comedy. I have never done comedy as an actor or a performer on purpose. Right. None of that. In other words, here's what I teach and what I do when I perform and what I teach other people to do, which is to tell the truth. Well, what's the truth? The truth is what's going on with me right now. Okay, so I have things going on inside my skin, my physical body, inside my physical skin, like my breath, for instance, my heart beating. And I have things going on outside my body, like you or the environment or not or the environment. You are part of the environment. So what's going on inside and outside my skin is my truth. So what do I do about that? I have to be aware of it in the present moment.
Well, here's the perfect example. The truth is right now we have to go into our first break. So please hold that thought, and we will be right back with Gary Austin. Stick around.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Where the preaching was simple and the singing rocked my soul. We sang a song at meeting time, a song I used to know. I can't remember that song, dear Lord. I can't remember that song. It was something from the Bible we sang at revival. I can't remember that song.
Welcome back. I'm here with Gary Austin. Boy, Gary, that makes me smile hearing your songs.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. We did that one together a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah, we used to perform that.
Yeah.
I want to fill in some of the blanks for people that don't know about you, but I want to jump in with an important question and then work our way backwards. You can sort of fill everybody in on how you got to this particular point, but. Many years ago, Lorne Michaels, who produced a Lily Tomlin special that you were one of the directors on, he had asked Groundling member Lorraine Newman to be a cast member for his new late night comedy series called Saturday Night Live. He also asked you to move to New York to direct the cast, and you declined in order to continue your work with the Groundlings. Here's my question. Have you ever regretted that decision?
No.
I'm glad to hear that. You didn't even need to think about that.
No, I mean, I certainly have. I could elaborate, but no is the answer. Yeah,
that's great.
Yes, no is the answer.
That's so. Bring our listeners up to date. Like how did the Groundlings come about, and take you to that question I just asked you.
It was my intent to be a very successful actor, and I was really good, and I showed promise, and I had important managers, and I was headed for an acting career, and I was standing at the unemployment office in Hollywood one day after I had left the committee, and I used to stand in line with Penny Marshall, and imagine this, we each stood in line for the maximum weekly $75 that we got from being unemployed. That was the maximum anybody got. You can imagine Penny Marshall standing in line for $75. I can imagine me standing in line for $75. So, but anyway, I get up to the window one day, and I thought I had 3 months more unemployment, and I found out I didn't, and I wasn't going to get a check that day, and it was over, and I didn't have enough money to get back to put gas in the car to get back to the friend I was staying with, and I didn't have enough money for lunch, and I panicked. 4 days later, through a series with lots of help from lots of friends, 4 days later, I was a teacher. I never wanted to be a teacher or a director or even considered the possibility. I wanted to be an actor and ultimately a singing cowboy. And so I show up for my first class 4 days after I decided to teach so that I could continue to eat. And I had 21 students, most of whom were working actors. And I told them that I'm not a teacher and I don't know if I can teach, so tonight is free. If you come back next week, we'll meet every Monday night. If you come back next week, it's $25 a month. 19 out of the 21 came back. And my class became a magnet for people some of whom are already stars in the business in various fields of stardom, and many who became stars. And I did that for a year. And then I said, let's do a show. And they looked at me like I was crazy. We did a show. And then a year later, I said, let's create a company. And they looked at me like I was crazy and said, what are you talking about? And we created the Groundlings. So it was originally my own Gary Austin Workshop's private company. And I turned it into a nonprofit called the Groundlings. Mm-hmm. And I went from approximately $2,500 a month clear that I was making by doing all of that to about $400 a month when we had to do budgetary things. And so I had to teach outside the Groundlings while teaching at the Groundlings, while creating the Groundlings, and while creating a national reputation.
So as your success grew, your paycheck diminished for that period of your life.
Well, yes. But so I had to make extra money outside the Groundlings for the whole time I continued. I started teaching in 72. We turned it nonprofit in 74. And I left the Groundlings. I resigned in 79. And now I go back there all the time because of being an alumni and for having created the place. Or being an alumnus, I forget which word, a singular word, whatever that would be. Alumnus, I guess. I'm doing a show in a week, and I'm doing another show in the following week, and I've been doing shows there at both the main stage and across the street on the news stage that the Groundlings just purchased and created. So I've been doing shows there for years and workshops, but they're all my own shows, and they're all my own workshops. And the Groundlings have nothing to do with it except that they host me and they publicize me. And this is terrific. And I also teach and work in other places, including 3 other cities.
You're right. Teaching your acting improv workshops.
Yes. And I direct shows and I create solo shows. I've got tons of solo shows I've created. One of which has become an international hit. Libby Scala's show called Lillias. She just did it at the Groundlings a week ago. I brought her here from New York. She lives in New York. Anyway, I've done tons of stuff at the Groundlings that have nothing to do artistically with the Groundlings. And I'm very happy being there. And ironically, everybody at the Groundlings now, none of them were born when I resigned from the Groundlings. None of them had come onto the planet yet.
Right.
So whatever my issues were, and there were plenty with my own company, those issues have nothing to do with these people who weren't born yet.
Right. Yeah, it was a clean slate.
Yeah.
You know, when you were building the actual Groundling Theater, you know, and you had rented the space and got all the building codes and parking restrictions, all the problems that were going on with contracting. It took 4 years for the theater to open to the public. Here's my question. How do you know when it's best to not give up?
How do I know when it's best to not give up? I want to make sure I got your question right.
Yeah, on something that you believe in. Like that's 4 years of the universe saying, "Really, you want to do this? Oh, you think this is a good?"
Well, I have never ever given up on anything I wanted. I have certainly not always gotten what I wanted. But if I really wanted it badly enough, I didn't give up. I never have done that. Ever. If I really wanted it badly enough.
Right. Well,
and I wanted that.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you stayed with that because out of the Groundling company and the Groundling Theater, a lot of important performers have passed through your doors and also created some magnificent work.
I know. Thank you. And yes, right. And also producers, directors, writers.
Right.
I mean, the list is go to groundlings.com. I mean, it's incredible. I'll say this, and I don't care if it sounds like boasting or bragging, which it is really. The Groundlings has changed the entertainment industry in America. Period.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree with you 100%. I suppose that is boasting, but it's actually the truth. So,
and if you just take, for instance, if you just isolate the big careers, look at the multi-million-dollar films and television series and so forth. Do you realize that there is a Groundling who's married to a Kennedy?
Who's that?
Cheryl Hines is married to Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, how did that happen? She became a star because of the Groundlings.
Yes.
So she had access to people.
Right.
And the access led to Robert Kennedy Jr. And so we have the Groundlings has created a new Kennedy.
That's that's true. That's huge. So you are actually answering the next question I had for you, which is how important is it to be tenacious and stubborn when you have a dream and you're willing to work for it?
Well, first person who comes to mind is Martin Luther King. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say that I'm. Right. I fought for the same the same high ideal, and you know, we're talking about
right. But you both had a dream. Yeah.
Equality. Yeah, I'm just talking about the dream, a dream, any dream. Mm-hmm. Right. That I always think of him first. You know, it's like. No, you go for it. You go for it. You go for it. You know, and then my heroes, many of them have been assassinated or otherwise defeated in some way. But I would never, if I went back and say, do you wish they hadn't pursued it so they wouldn't have been assassinated or destroyed in some way? I would say, no, I'm all for the fact that they continued forward. I'm just sorry that the bad thing happened.
Mm-hmm. Some of the notable artists that have come from the Groundlings are Lisa Kudrow, Will Ferrell, Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman, Lorraine Newman, Kathy Griffin, Cheryl Hines, John Lovitz, Chris Kattan, Sherry O'Terry, Maya Rudolph, Julia Sweeney, Phil Lamar, Anna Gasteyer, Mindy Sterling, Jennifer Coolidge, Kristen Wiig, the late Phil Hartman, and many more. I have two questions for you. What is the common quality that you immediately noticed in your most successful students? And along that line, can you tell on first meeting if someone has what it takes to be a successful artist?
Yes. To your last question, okay. Yes, I can instantly. What we would do is we would hold workshops when we would be seeking new people for the Groundling Company. We would hold workshops all Sunday afternoon, and anybody could come and be in the workshop. If we enjoyed working with you in the workshop, we would bring you into the Groundling Company. Actually, mm-hmm. we would bring you into the Groundling School, which you had to go through to get into the Groundling Company at that point. But oh my God, I don't know why and how. And I know that other people have this instinct, but I can tell in a few seconds whether I want to work with someone or not. It's very quick.
What is it that you see?
Well, okay. Let me use a specific example. I help people with their auditions. Let's say an actor is auditioning for, let's say, a sitcom, episodic. So what I say to the actor is this, among other things. It takes 10 seconds from the moment you open the door and walk through it for the people who are going to decide whether you get a role or not, who are looking at you, they're watching you walk through the door. It takes about 10 seconds for them to know. They know one of three things. Here's what they know in 10 seconds. I would love to work with this person, or I do not want to work with this person, or I don't know yet if I want to work with this person. Mm-hmm. And so my thing is, if you can get the positive response in 10 seconds, then no matter what you do, they're going to give you high marks because they're cheering for you.
Right.
Wow, that was cool. Oh, that was cool. They're going to overlook some little flaws maybe, or things that they wouldn't otherwise like. If they don't want to work with you, they're going to pick you apart in their minds so badly that there's no way you could ever win with them. And then if they don't know, well, okay, hopefully they're smart enough to figure it out on their own.
And some of those conclusions get drawn before the actor or musician even has the opportunity to say anything and open their mouth. It's from the energy.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the moment the door opens and the body comes through it. That's when you know one of those three things.
So you recognize...
Think about life. Isn't that true about life?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you make immediate conclusions instantaneous. I think 10 seconds is actually generous.
Yeah, and when you're wrong, you find it out, and okay, good, I was wrong. You make mistakes, but still, you know something in those first 10 seconds or 5 seconds. You know something.
So the people that have come through your schools and classes and workshops that are the people that have become stars and the actors and musicians and producers and writers that we know, you're saying that you recognize something immediately when they walked in the door. There was just some sort of a sparkle or energy or attitude or is confidence, I suppose.
Or I'll go to number 3. I didn't know sometimes. Right. But it doesn't take long to find out. I mean, give me another 5 minutes and I'm there.
Right. When you first met me, what did you think? I can't not ask. Number 1, 2, or 3? Did it take a few minutes to figure it out? I
absolutely do not remember the first moment because I had even forgotten that Glenn introduced us. So, I don't remember that moment.
I couldn't resist asking.
Do you remember that moment?
No, okay. I do not. No, I just remember, the many years of moments after that we have shared.
So many shows and so many recording sessions and so many thises and that's.
Yes, and life, a lot of life happening for both of us. We're heading into our next break, and we're going to be talking about life. And everything that means. Very quickly, in the next 30 seconds, where can people find out more about you, Gary?
Okay, Facebook is Gary Austin Workshops. And always be sure to spell Austin, Austin, as opposed to En. My website is GaryAustinWorkshops.com. And I have a Facebook page, Gary Austin Music. And I have a website, GaryAustinMusic.com. So it's all pretty simple.
Great. And we will list all of those on the Intertalk Radio website. We're here with Gary Austin, and we will be back in a short moment. So please stick around for the really interesting part of this story.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
She grew up without me, and I guess I'm sort of glad that I didn't have to be there for the rough times that she had. But how I could have fought her fights and held her when she cried and scared away her nightmares. At least I could have tried. How old are you now? What grade are you in?
We are listening to Gary Austin, my guest on today's show. I've always loved that song of yours, Gary. That's a really special
Thank you.
one. Yeah.
Thank you. It's about my daughter, Audrey.
Audrey, yeah. When she was just a little tiny baby. She's full grown, and you're a granddad now.
I'm a great-grandfather. I have 3 great-grandchildren.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Well, Audrey's a grandma, if you can believe that. If you've seen her picture, you would think I was lying to you.
Right.
And then, you know, her son, my grandson, Michael Moore, he gets a lot of people think he's somebody else. And, and then he has 3 children, and I'm with them so often, and it's incredible to have, hey, a new family just came on the tree, like new leaves on a tree.
Mm-hmm. We were reminiscing during the break about some of our many, many late night recording sessions at my old studio apartment, and we're used to we'd set up the vocal mic in the bathroom for the best reverb.
Yes.
Do you want to share this story?
Well, yeah, I had to take a leak during one of those sessions, and I told you, I said, I have to take a leak now. What I didn't know is that you were recording the leak. So I did the leak, and then
well, as a good producer, by the way, as a good producer, you record everything. So.
Yes, right. So you played it back for me, and it sounded like Niagara Falls. You played it full volume. I still have the tape.
I want to hear that again someday. That would be really funny. I mean, part of the reason that I recorded it was because, like I said, I just record the sessions, and that's where the mic was set up. But it was so funny to me, and I think because we spent such long hours recording, it seemed like it'd be a good moment for some humor, you know, just a break.
Yeah,
and then to be able to pick ourselves off the floor from laughing, get back to recording.
Yeah. By the way, one of the reasons that our sessions went, you know, so long, so often, is because I did not have a vocal coach. I off and on a little, but I married my vocal coach, Wendy McKenzie, who is one of the best there is, and as you know, she has coached Melissa Manchester for years and years.
Right. And one of the artists I work with. Yeah.
So had I had Wendy with me, which, by the way, we all did one together. If you remember, we made a record, a 12-minute song that I wrote for a banker, and you were involved in that, and Wendy was my coach in the recording session, and this is when I first met her before we were married. Anyway, had Wendy been my vocal coach during that time that you and I were working together all those years, our sessions could have been much shorter.
But think of all the amazing memories and laughs that we would have missed out on.
Yeah.
Everything in its due time.
That's right.
I want to ask you, I want to take it to a more serious note now. You've, and talk more personally, you have accomplished amazing things in your life personally, and have also deeply impacted the lives of your students. What more is on your list of things that you want to achieve in your life?
I'm writing a book, and that as that goes on, I want to do another album, and I work with Matt Cartsonis now on my music, And I want to. I'm creating about a dozen solo shows right now that I'm helping people develop of their own solo shows. Plus, I'm doing my own concerts and telling my stories and singing my songs, in my own shows. And what else do I want to accomplish? Oh my God, there's a list that I could never achieve because it would take another 40 years, But
right.
But I just told you some of the main ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Those sound great. And by the way, leave a space for me on your record. I want to come and play guitar on a track for you.
Yay!
I'd be honored.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, Matt,
full circle.
Make a note of that, Matt Gartsonis.
So if you don't mind, I want to ask you something very personal, which is about your illness. You have been sick, and you're in chemotherapy right now, and I want to know how it's impacted you and your family, and how are you feeling right now, by the way, more importantly than anything?
Well, physically, I have my down times, and then I have my up times. So right now I'm going through chemotherapy at Cedars. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a blood disease, a cancer of the blood. I don't know, maybe 20 or 25 years ago. And I was diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse, my heart, about that long ago, too. And I've been, if it weren't for Medicare, health insurance, Cedars-Sinai, and about 15 doctors there, I wouldn't be here. Right. And I owe so much to so many people. And I've been through about, I would say, maybe out of about nine or so hospitalizations, inpatient hospitalizations at Cedars. I would say that about 6 of those were life and death. And they didn't know if I would come out of the hospital. And so I have asked my doctors, who, thank God, I've been with for so many years, and they all know my history, and they all know each other. And so they, they all know what's going on with each doctor. And so I said to one doctor a few months ago, "Why am I still alive?" And he said, "Because you laugh." And these are old established doctors. These are medical people who are saying these things. Right. And then I said to, after my stem cell transplant, which is a 50-50 chance of living back in 2010, I survived it. And they said I may not, 50-50. And I asked Angela Lopez, my doctor, who supervised the whole thing, I said, after it was all over and I was alive, I said, did you know I was going to survive? And she said, yes, of course. But I had to tell you that you may not. That's what I had to tell you that.
Right.
And I said, well, how did you know I was going to survive? She says, diet and attitude. These are from medical doctors.
Right.
I mean, it's not about the medicine, even though that had to be there. It's not about the procedures, even though that had to be there. But they're talking about things that have to do with lifestyle.
Yes. But, that's reassuring to me, that there's a humility that comes with these incredibly knowledgeable doctors to understand that it's not just about them.
Right. Yes. I love my doctors. I just love them. And I've never really enjoyed living in Los Angeles. Sorry, LA. I've never really liked the culture here, or the lack of culture, I should say. That's not true. There's a lot of culture. Okay, fine. And I created my own world here, which is terrific.
Right.
But I forgot what I was going to say about LA. What was I going to say? Oh, I am now grateful. And by the way, I've traveled all over the country so much that there were years where I didn't really live here. I lived in New York and Seattle and so forth. But I am so grateful that I live here now because of Cedars-Sinai and the medical people who have saved my life over and over. Right.
Yeah. So you were definitely in the place that you were supposed to be. You were in the right place.
Yes. Yes. And then, and then your cousin, Glenn Wallman, who introduced us, Glenn, he really, without getting into detail, he saved my life when I didn't have any medical care. long time ago when I first knew you. He saved my life in so many ways that we just can't even talk about. But he knows, and you know, and I know what he did.
Yeah, he's a brilliant doctor and a great heart. Yeah.
Yes.
What, with being ill right now and for quite a few years now and continuing to deal with it and conquer it, what do you think? What do you think, looking back, is a requirement for becoming a successful artist and really, more importantly, having a successful life? Just
passion. The passion. Passion for what though? I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Why? I don't know. I just do. It's just in me, So I was, after one of my very difficult stays at Cedars about 3 years ago. I was in rehab. They put me from the hospital into rehab. So I was in a situation where I was around people who are really in a rest home. It was a combination rest home and rehab place. So a lot of the people in the situation are there waiting to die, literally. And I was around those people for several weeks, and I was supposed to go home on a certain date. And about 3 days before I was supposed to go home, I called in a nurse, and I said, "Nurse, I have to go home now." "Well, why? You're supposed to be here 3 more days." I said, "I'm catching a disease." She says, "Oh, what disease are you catching?" Death. It's contagious. I'm getting it from these other people. Now, okay, so am I judging? I don't care whether I'm judging them or not. They had a disease called death, and I was catching it. And this death wasn't a disease they got just because they came there or because they had an operation or something. This disease is something that was so obviously part of, they had that disease their whole lives or most of their lives. I could tell. As I was around them, I could tell. This disease called death that they have has been going on with them for years, long before they were in rehab. And I couldn't be around it anymore. I couldn't. I am around people who are filled with life, and that's where I draw my energy. That's one of the places I draw my energy from.
Yes, I understand that. We have about maybe 4 minutes left in the show, and I have a question that I ask all of my guests, and I want to ask you. At this point of your life, at this point of your life.
Let me let him out. Just a minute.
Okay, Gary. No problem.
Okay, I'm back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, while you were letting the animals out, you do a lot of work with animal rescue. I know it's an incredibly important part of your life. Yeah.
My mission in life, as long as I'm still on the planet, is to alleviate animal suffering as much as that's possible.
I applaud you for that and appreciate that. And we can also include any links to some of the organizations that you work with on the page that we're going to build you for on Intertalk Radio. So we'll get those from you and put them up for all the listeners.
I'll give you a bunch of stuff.
Please. So here's my question to you, Gary. At this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
Good question. Okay. Woo. Oh boy.
Take your time.
Okay. Boy, I'm so blank on that. I could probably go on for a whole book.
I'm sure.
So where do I start? Ask me the question one more time and let it soak into me and see if I can come right back with an answer.
Okay. At this point of your life, Gary Austin, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self? Little Gary.
Keep on playing.
Yeah. Keep on playing.
What Robert De Niro and Marlon Brando and Meryl Streep, I'm talking about great actors who I admire, what they understand is that they have to be children who play in order to convince us that they are adults, in order for them to help us to believe that they are the characters they play, which are not children. So you got a tough guy like De Niro. Well, what I understand, because I'm an actor and I understand that he's a little boy. He couldn't play those tough guys if he weren't. He has always played. And because he plays, and when I say play, I mean play like a child. That's what animals play. Go anywhere in nature, animals play. I don't care if it's whales, wolves, birds, animals play. Dogs, children. We start out playing, and then very often it gets lost when we become adults and we don't play anymore. Well, I think that's a big cause for disease, the fact that we stop playing. And I think so keep on playing. Keep on playing. Childlike. Keep being a child. Keep playing as a child. Always for your entire life. And when people say, if they do, oh, act like a grown-up, to hell with that. Why would I want to do that? That's a dumb idea. Jesus. Excuse me, if anybody's listening who doesn't like me to say, people to say Jesus, but I said it in love. Thank you, Jesus. It's in love. Okay.
We're pretty much out of time. We have about 30 seconds left. Is there anything else that you would like to say besides me saying thank you to you?
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to have you come in and do a session when we record another some more stuff. It's going to be great. Have you met Matt Cartsonis?
I don't think so. I look forward to it.
It's going to be great. We'll get together.
Thank you. Thanks for including me. And it's so important to me. Yeah. And I love that we get to continue to create together and keep each other inspired and laughing. So
yes.
You take good care of yourself and be well and be happy and thank you. I really appreciate you, Gary.
And thank you, Terry, and the best to you as well. And don't forget, you're just a child. You're only, you're so much younger than me. So you have so many years ahead of you.
Thank you, Gary Austin, and we'll see you all next week.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woman.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbull Audio.